The movie begins with a guy named Kwon. Not long ago, he was a national taekwondo champion, but these days he was just wasting his time sitting in an internet cafe. He didn't have a job, but his gaming skills were seriously killer. In one online game, his character's name was Captain, and he had a team with some friends. Their group was called Resurrection. In the game, Captain would help his teammates without caring about his own life. One day, after gaming at the internet cafe, Kwon spotted a smartphone lying nearby. Someone was calling it. He picked up the phone, and a girl's voice was on the other end. She said she had forgotten her phone at the cafe and wanted Kwon to bring it back to her place. Initially, Kwon wasn't exactly thrilled about leaving his game, but when the girl offered him $300 for the favor, Kwon instantly agreed and headed over to her house. When Kwon got to her place, he saw that the door was already unlocked, and the girl was taking a shower in the bathroom. Kwon spoke to her from outside the bathroom door. The girl told him to leave the phone on the table and take the money she had left there. Kwon did as instructed, but before he left, he gave the girl a piece of advice. She shouldn't leave her front door unlocked like that. Anyone could get in, and it wasn't safe. Anyway, the next day, while Kwon was sleeping in his room, police officers suddenly burst into his home and arrested him. As it turned out, Kwon was being accused of murdering that same girl. Kwon had absolutely no idea what was going on. Evidence against him included blood on his hands, the murder weapon found in his room, and his fingerprints and DNA found at the girl's house. There was even security camera footage from the building and his semen found at the scene. Basically, Kwon was accused of sexual abuse of the girl twice, then stabbing her in the neck and stomach, leading to her death. Within just a few hours, the news about him went viral, and the public started hating him for allegedly committing such a heinous crime. When Kwon's mother got the news, she immediately rushed to the police station, but she wasn't allowed to see her son. Later, we see her handing out flyers, telling people her son was innocent and was being framed in a false case, but the general public was already convinced that Kwon was the murderer. So they ignored Kwon's mother, and many even said nasty things to her. Finally, his mother went to ask for help from a lawyer named Mr. Minister, but even Mr. Mim initially thought Kwon was the killer because all the evidence was stacked against him. A few days later, the case had a hearing in court, and all the evidence against Kwon was presented. Adding to the pressure, there was intense media attention nationwide, so the court quickly delivered its verdict, declaring Kwon guilty. He was sentenced to life imprisonment and sent to a high-security prison with no possibility of parole. The judge stated that Kwon's mental state had deteriorated due to spending all day gaming and being unemployed, and that's why he had committed this gruesome crime. He was taken to the high-security prison in the dead of night. Inside, Kwon was like an innocent kid trapped among vicious, hardened criminals. One day, Paul, a gang leader, spotted Kwon. His men grabbed Kwon and brought him over. The prison guards were watching and knew Kwon was about to get beaten up, but Paul gestured for them to back off. As soon as Paul started beating Kwon, Kwon punched Paul back, which enraged Paul. His boons then beat Kwon to a halt. Anyway, after a while, when the guards came to break up the fight, Paul claimed Kwon had attacked him. In retaliation, Kwon was sentenced to 30 days in solitary confinement. Later, Paul and his goons cornered Kwon again and beat him brutally. They also gave him a strange injection, after which Kwon went crazy and started trying to eat himself. From then on, he was getting beaten almost every day in prison. Then one day, his mother visited him with their lawyer, Mr. Minister. She was very distressed seeing Kwon's condition, knowing he was being tortured in prison. She understood everything when she saw his wounds. She told Kwon to hang in there and bear it for a little while, and promised him that she would get him out. She didn't want to be known as a sexual abuser mother, nor did she want Kwon to live his life labeled as a sexual abuser. Hearing his mother's words gave Kwon a lot of courage and strength. This time, when Kwon went back to prison, he was filled with a new spirit. But the cycle of beatings from Paul and his gang continued. One day at the dining table, another inmate gave Kwon some ointment to put on his wounds. This inmate believed Kwon couldn't be the murderer. He also thought Paul knew Kwon was innocent, which is why he kept beating him, because he was an easy target. That's when Kwon decided to fight back for himself, so everyone would understand he wasn't easy to control. One day when Paul's men came to beat Kwon, he immediately hid and made small makeshift weapons using a pen and paper. Then he took down Paul's men one by one, and finally with a single blow to Paul, he now came out too. The next day, Mr. Min came to see him and delivered the devastating news that his mother had died. He gave Kwon his mother's death certificate so Kwon could sign it, after which the government would handle her funeral. Kwon wasn't even allowed to attend his mother's funeral. Mr. Min explained that ordinary people had harassed his mother terribly after his conviction, which made her very depressed. She couldn't bear so much sorrow, and the poor thing died. Hearing this, Kwon was completely shattered or broken, but But that night his mother came to him in a dream and hugged him. The next day, Kwon remembered his mother's words about not living the life of a sexual abuser. He had promised his mother he would prove his innocence. Suddenly, he attacked Paul again, but during the struggle, he accidentally stabbed himself in the stomach. Shortly after, he was being taken to the hospital in a prison transport vehicle, but just then, Kwon got up and attacked the guards. He held a sharp object to the chief guard's neck and demanded the key to his handcuffs. The guard handed him the key, but just then, their vehicle had an accident, injuring everyone inside. Kwon, somehow surviving, unlocked his handcuffs and started running. The chief guard pointed a gun at him from behind, but then, for some reason, he lowered the gun. Maybe he also understood that Kwon didn't belong in prison, so he let Kwon escape. Kwon escaped into the forest, staying out of sight. Soon after, he stole some clothes and kept running. Before long, the police of 7 countries were hunting for Kwon. While on the run, Kwon noticed a couple whose car had broken down. They were in a hurry to get to the airport. Kwon helped them fix their car. In return, they gave him a ride. They didn't know about Kwon's situation and were leaving the country anyway, so they even gave Kwon their car so he could sell it and make some money. Finally, Kwon took the car and headed toward the city. Kwon had nowhere else to hide, so he went to Mr. Min's house, hoping Min would understand his situation. Min gave Kwon his mother's last memento, her necklace. Min tried to comfort him, saying he would re-examine his case files. But then, he called the police, telling Kwon to turn himself in. Hearing this, Kwon fled before the police arrived. A while later, he reached an internet cafe and started reading all the articles about him. They were all against him, but then Kwon spotted a documentary claiming he had been framed in a false case. The writer had argued how Kwon could possibly sexual abuse a girl twice and murder her in just 3 minutes, and pointed out that several pieces of evidence in the case had been tampered with. Seeing all this, Kwon took a deep breath. He saw that the writer was a man named Mr. Harry, who used to game with Kwon. Soon after, Mr. Harry met Kwon, and it was revealed that Mr. Harry was actually a girl named Yule. She was part of Kwon's Resurrection gaming team. Yule warned Kwon that the cafe manager was about to alert the police, so he needed to leave immediately. Later, Yule called him to meet at a restaurant, and then she took him to a secret hideout outside the city where she lived alone, hidden from the world. She was incredibly skilled with computers and spent all day working on them. She made delicious food for Kwon, which made him incredibly happy, as he was fed up with eating stale prison food. Soon after, the rest of his gaming team arrived at the hideout. They wanted to help Kwon, just like he helped them in the game. Yule had researched the case, found all the flaws in the evidence, and now wanted to prove Kwon innocent with the whole team. Their team then investigated all the recent high-profile cases. They spotted a specific truck in the security camera footage from all the crime scenes. Yule looked up the truck's information and found out it was registered to a junkyard. Kwon then secretly went to the junkyard and saw 2 men carrying a large box to a vehicle. Kwon followed them to a building, the house of a famous TV actor named No Jun-young. At that moment, Kwon saw that the box contained No Jun-young's dead body. They had brought it from the junkyard. Kwon hid in a corner and watched some special agents arrive and start planting evidence for the murder, like fingerprints and hair. That's when it was revealed that Kwon's lawyer, Mr. Min, was the mastermind behind this whole operation. The real killer of No Jun-young was actually the daughter of a rich businessman named Shu. To save his daughter from going to jail, Shu had tasked Min with creating fake evidence and framing someone else. Following this, we see that Mr. Min had a secret room in his building that only opened with facial recognition. There, using a supercomputer with advanced intelligence, he found a girl who could be framed for Shu's daughter's crime. This girl's name was So. She had nothing to do with No Jun-young and was living her life peacefully, completely unaware of what was about to happen to her. Meanwhile, Kwon took a picture of the part of No Jun-young's body where Min's agents had left someone else's fingerprints. He went back and gave the picture to Yule so she could scan the fingerprints and find out who Min was planning to frame this time. Soon after, Yule identified them as the fingerprints of the girl named So. Actually, Min had already sent his team to So's house to knock her out and take samples of her hair, blood, and saliva so they could use her fake evidence in No Jun-young's murder case. Then they called So and told her to come to No Jun-young's house. Kwon had also tapped So's phone and was listening to everything. This was the same voice that had called Kwon to the crime scene on the day he was framed. In fact, the truth was that in Kwon's case too, the girl was killed by a rich kid. But to protect him, fake evidence was created against Kwon, making him the scapegoat. Anyway, Kwon now went to meet the girl whose voice he heard on the phone. Kwon tried to kidnap her, but at the last minute, she escaped on a motorcycle with someone else. Kwon started chasing her, but his car broke down on the way. Then suddenly, Paul and his men caught him. Paul had somehow gotten out of prison too, and now he took Kwon to a secluded place and started torturing him. But at the same time, Yule alerted SWAT that Kwon was there, and the SWAT team quickly arrived to catch Paul. The SWAT team rescued Kwon from Paul's clutches and Quan took advantage of the situation and escaped from there. Just then, Yul arrived in a car to pick him up, and they got away. On the way, Quan asked how Paul had managed to find him. That's when Yul found a tracker hidden in Quan's mother's necklace. They then realized Min was still keeping tabs on him because he was the one who gave Quan the necklace, so he could always get Quan's location. Sadly, Quan had to steel himself and throw away his mother's last memento. Later, Quan's team built some drones and sent them to scan Min's building. They were sure there would be a high-tech supercomputer there, loaded with data on people across the entire country. Luckily, their suspicion was correct when the drone scans revealed large computers. Meanwhile, Quan removed all the fake evidence from No Jun Young's place. When Min found out, he told his agents to clean up the whole house and set up a crime scene somewhere else. But soon, Quan bombed the van carrying their fake evidence. After this, we see Shu's daughter, who was hiding in a hospital pretending to be a patient. She wanted to get out quickly, and for that, Min needed to prepare a new crime scene as soon as possible. Businessman Shu then threatened Min, demanding he complete the mission immediately. Min started creating a crime scene at a new location. During this, Quan, mentioning Min's name, led Shu's daughter to that same crime scene, and in this way, she was arrested for the crime. Soon, this news spread like wildfire across the country. Min's mission had completely failed. Quan then called him and told him he would now be exposed to the whole world. But surprisingly, Min seemed to be some kind of psycho, and he was happy to hear that someone had the guts to challenge him. Min said he was tired of creating fake crime scenes. He was actually bored doing it so easily. But now that Quan was creating difficulties for him, it had become exciting again. Min was spouting this nonsense when Quan suddenly hung up, which enraged Min. Just then, he looked at his office, and the ground beneath his feet gave way because his secretary had been murdered. He realized the phone call was just a distraction, and Quan had entered his building. Min immediately ran towards his secret room, but Quan grabbed him from behind and started beating him mercilessly. Fighting, they reached his high-tech supercomputer. When Quan accessed Min's supercomputer, he found videos of himself being framed, along with videos of his mother alone, campaigning for his release. Then suddenly, Min confessed, "Your mother didn't just die, I killed her," because she kept holding protests and causing trouble, and people were getting emotional and starting to support her. Hearing this, Quan went completely insane with rage and beat Min severely. After this, he started transferring all the evidence from Min's supercomputer to Yul's thumb drive. Just then, Paul called Quan and said he had kidnapped Quan's team and would kill them if Quan didn't come. Min then added that with the help of the tracker and the necklace, they had found Yul's hideout, and Paul had gone there and taken all her teammates hostage. He threatened that if Quan didn't get there to save them within 30 seconds, Paul would kill them all. Now, Quan didn't have time to wait for the data transfer, so he immediately rushed off to save his teammates' lives. Meanwhile, Min called Quan again, saying that in his next mission, he was going to make Yul the scapegoat. He had already sent his special agents to get Yul's DNA and other evidence. Meanwhile, back at Yul's hideout, Paul shot at one of the men but missed. Just then, the power went out, and at that exact moment, Quan arrived. Using his incredible fighting skills, he beat Paul's men severely. After this, Quan's team headed towards a TV station. On the way, they managed to evade Paul's goons, Min's special agents, and even the police. Then they saw that Min had hacked the TV channels and had labeled Quan's team as dangerous criminals. Anyway, as soon as Quan and his team reached the TV station, the rest of the team focused on distracting the goons and police who were chasing them, while Yul started up her computer system in the command center. She was about to expose the truth about Min nationwide on TV channels. But soon, the police arrested everyone except Yul. The police had also surrounded Quan's car, so Quan put his hands up and quietly got out of the car, surrendering. People across the country were watching all this on TV, which made Min quite happy. But soon his happiness turned to sorrow when his command center shut down, and he realized Yul's thumb drive was still in his computer. All the data from Min's computer had transferred to Yul. Now Yul, using the evidence from Min's computer, hacked the TV stations and revealed Min's dark deeds and the truth about his clients to the public. She showed how they created fake evidence and crime scenes to frame innocent people. Then she showed Quan's case on TV, which made everyone realize how wrong they were about Quan and all the other people. Now that Min was exposed, he tried to escape in his car, but Quan's team had removed his steering wheel. Min was quickly arrested, but everyone knew that behind this was definitely the hand of a big mafia boss who was still hidden from ordinary people. Anyway, Quan and his team were honorably acquitted or cleared of all charges. Meanwhile, Min met Paul in prison, and Paul was very angry at him, which makes it clear that Min's time in prison won't be easy. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Don't be a